Ascension is happening now. In this video, I'm going to share some words of wisdom with you from Archangel Michael. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. I had an amazing conversation the other day about ascension with Archangel Michael that I want to share with you all in this video. Now, in my recent videos, I have shared a lot about AI, the metaverse, and how we are being forced into a lower timeline by the controllers. I share these things with you so that you can be crystal clear about what is you and what isn't you. It's very important that we are able to make that distinction. If we don't have a clear defining line about what is true about us as human beings and the false reality that is AI, then we cannot effectively partner with the powerful ascension energy that is with us right now. That's because too much of our consciousness and energy will be tied up in the mass confusion being perpetrated by the controllers. When you see and understand the insidious nature of how we are being pulled into an AI universe, you will find it so much easier to remove your consciousness from that energy and stay on a path of ascension and a higher timeline of natural evolution. So today I want to talk to you about the positive energy that is with us right now. Now, recently I was feeling especially exhausted and just generally kind of stressed out. I kept feeling like I didn't know how I was going to accomplish everything I needed to do. It felt like time was moving faster than I was, and I couldn't keep up. Kind of like you're trying to catch a fast-moving train. Have any of you felt like time is moving faster than usual lately? Let me know in the comments if you've had that experience. Anyway, so one morning I was feeling especially kind of stressed out about this, and I asked Archangel Michael if he could come and help me out. So he came and explained some amazing things to me that I want to share with you all now. He said there is an extremely powerful light of ascension present now on this planet. He said it was good that I have been letting you all know about the situation with AI so you can more easily step aside and not be identified with that energy. He said when you see how AI is unfolding here, then you can consciously detach from any insidious belief that it has something to do with you. The truth is that it has nothing to do with us as human beings. So I felt incredibly grateful and relieved just to have that simple clarity. I don't know if it's the way he communicates or what it is, but it was literally like a breath of fresh air. Then he had me focus on the light of ascension. Now this light is not a physical light, as you probably already know. Physical light is reflective light, whereas ascension light penetrates and permeates all things. It is ever-present and it is omnipresent. Ascension light is essentially the light of the entire universe as it exists in its actual state of reality. Now, wherever you have duality, you do not have reality. You have the illusion of real versus not real. Where duality exists, there will always be conflict. And this conflict is unresolvable in the context of duality itself. So Archangel Michael said that duality is a mistake and should have never existed in the first place. That's because there are no answers there. There is only the illusion of one thing fighting against another or being in conflict with another. And that's even true just merely on a physical level of objects, because every object is in conflict with every other object. So for example, if you drop a glass on a stone floor, the glass is going to break. That's what I mean when I say that everything is in conflict with everything else. Everything is in separation from everything else. Anyway, I was really struck by how true this really is. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to be able to settle on a single answer in the dualistic world that we live in? See, Archangel Michael said that duality is incredibly unstable and ultimately unresolvable. So that made me realize that we should stop trying to resolve duality. It's really just a futile state of energy. It's like every time you fix one problem, another one pops up in its place. And he said, yes, wherever you have duality, problems will multiply faster than you can ever keep up with them. He said that's why people ultimately get old and die. It's just too much for them. And I think that's really true, because have you ever noticed how so often the older people get, the more they tend to give up in one way after another until eventually they just kind of give up altogether? Maybe that's what retirement's all about. Anyway, he said these problems in general will keep taking energy from you until you eventually just run out of steam. He said the way that we really mess ourselves up is that we think that if we solve enough problems in the context of duality, that eventually all will be well and we can get back to being ourselves again. But he said that will never happen in a state of duality, and that we can see that for ourselves if we just look at our own history on this planet. But then he said there is a much better way. He said we need to stop putting our faith in duality. That's the first thing. Duality doesn't work, it never has worked, and it never will work. All it does is draw you deeper and deeper into a morass of unsolvable problems. Now, you might climb out temporarily, but it's only a matter of time before you find yourself down in the dumps again. So, part of evolution means to let go of our faith in duality. He said that's actually how we trap ourselves here, by having so much faith in duality. And that makes so much sense to me. It's like we have this false perspective that somehow if we solve all of these problems, then duality will eventually cough up some peace. And when has that ever happened, right? So this whole conversation was just a total relief for me. Stop putting your faith in a false belief that duality has all the answers. That's the first step in getting out of this trap. And this also made me realize something about those of us who are starseeds and lightworkers. We might come to this planet with a certain degree of clarity, but if we choose to believe in the same way that everyone else here believes, then we're kind of like toast. We will end up feeling lost and having no idea why we're even here. See, duality splits our consciousness into two parts: the real human being and the ego, which is the false self. Archangel Michael said this split is unavoidable the moment you enter duality. But he said the important thing is to understand it and know why it is happening. He said as long as you're in duality, you're not going to get rid of the ego. That's because the ego is the only way to stay functional in a dualistic universe. He said your choice then becomes to choose where your center of consciousness will be. Will it be with the real you, or will it be with the ego? He said it's really a matter of which side is in charge of your life. He said when it comes to timelines, the ego will always pull you down to that lower timeline. That's because it needs that low vibration of duality where the self is split in order for it to survive. He said that on the other hand, the real you, the you that is centered in your heart, will naturally align you with a higher timeline of evolution if you put your center there. So now back to that light of ascension. Archangel Michael said that ascension is the process of the entire universe evolving out of this state of duality. And did you know that the recycling of souls happens because of all the intractable problems in duality? It's like people trying over and over again to get better and better at solving all of the problems they were unable to solve in the last lifetime. They might eventually succeed at solving the issues that they couldn't deal with in their past lifetime, only to find new ones cropping up in their current lifetime. And then Adam, who is one of the beings in Telstar who I also channel, added something else to the conversation. He said that a person dies and then has their life's review. They are able to see with great clarity what happened during that lifetime. Wherever they might have failed, they go back in and try again, only to discover new failures that they hadn't experienced before. It just becomes an endless cycle with no final resolution. You know, when they were telling me this, I kept having this crazy image of one of those older kinds of washing machines, you know, where the clothes come up to the surface and then they're pushed down again. And they come up to the surface and they're pushed down again. And they do this over and over and over because they're just not getting all of the dirt out of the clothes. I don't know why I'm telling you guys that, but that's just kind of weird how that just kept popping into my head. Anyway, the only answer is to evolve out of this completely. And that's what Archangel Michael is talking about. We need to let go of our endless belief in problem solving inside of the main problem itself, which is the existence of duality. Duality is the literal birthplace of problems. And now we have the biggest problem of all, which is this AI takeover of our planet, which will only lead to new and bigger problems that we can't even conceive of from where we sit right now. So what a relief to be told that none of this is going to work out, and we just need to exit this situation altogether. And that's what evolution is really about. And by the way, hopefully you can see that death is not an exit strategy. The only exit strategy is evolution. So right now, ascension is giving us a chance for accelerated evolution, which we need due to this imminent AI takeover. So we are not being abandoned by the universe. We are being given precisely the amount of light that we need to be able to avoid this oncoming human catastrophe. Now, this brings something else to mind for me in the sense that we often do feel like we're being abandoned by the universe. Like, why is all of this happening? Where's the help? And all that kind of stuff, right? But I think what we're often looking for is we want the universe to come in and solve all of these problems. And if you understand what Archangel Michael was telling me, he's really saying that's not the path, you guys. That's not the path. Solving the problems is not the path because there's just going to be more and more and more problems no matter what you do. So he's saying the path is to evolve out of this altogether. And that's where we're getting this massive support from the universe. But we need to align with that truth, with that reality, so that we can take full advantage of that support. Now, it is important that we don't look at this as a collective issue. You want to look at it right now as an individual issue. See, if you look at it collectively, you risk being dragged into the energy vortex of large masses of people who will happily go the way of AI. And we don't want to do that, right? See, every person has the freedom to evolve or to not evolve at their own pace. So this message is obviously for those of us who are serious about our evolution and who want to ascend. Now, let me share with you what Archangel Michael told me about how we are naturally engaged with this light of ascension. That is not to say that everyone on Earth is engaged with it. There are people who want no part of it and who have already made their decision to go to a lower timeline. But for those of us who want to stay on a higher timeline, here's what we need to know now. Our bodies are currently being heavily influenced by this ascension light, which exists at a very high vibration. This light is amplified at a high magnitude and is encouraging us to make some profound and rapid shifts in our consciousness. Our bodies, on the other hand, have many patterns of resistance to this light. That's because our bodies exist in a finite state, and this light is infinite in nature. So the body wants to hold on to its patterns of resistance and its finite limitation. Because this light is amplified, it can cause the body to expend excessive amounts of energy in an attempt to resist its influence. This can lead to exhaustion, to stress, and to other physical symptoms. Archangel Michael said that we need to work with the body in new ways. He said when we let go of believing that our chief role in this universe is to solve problems, then we remove a huge burden from our physical bodies. We start to transform and transmute the nature of its existence. See, the role of the body is to evolve alongside of our newly evolving consciousness. That is a completely different kind of energy from the energy of solving problems. Archangel Michael said that evolving our bodies also includes evolving our lives. He said this can best be done by embracing a much larger perspective about ourselves. This starts with recognizing that we are meant to evolve in concert with the much larger universe. We are meant to be creators, and we are not meant to do this alone. He said there are universes outside of this one that do not have this problem of duality. These advanced universes are well aware of what is happening here and only desire to help. The idea is for the entire cosmos to be healed and made whole again by correcting the problem in this universe. So there are powerful forces at work on our behalf. We just have to get out of our own way by letting go of our stubbornness and our resistance to something new. So right now in your life, you might be feeling certain things. Let me explain what those things are so that you can put them in a better context. You might be feeling exhausted because your body is expending too much energy trying to resist the influence of this amplified ascension light. You might also be feeling an excessive amount of stress or anxiety because you are sensing that there is really no ultimate resolution in this world of duality. You might be feeling completely overwhelmed and like you can't keep up. You might feel like you don't know how you're going to accomplish what you know you need to do. Archangel Michael says that this is primarily due to patterns of resistance and an unconscious attempt to hold on to a more limited reality. You could also be feeling deeply depressed or discouraged about life on this planet. You could even be feeling nothing but hopelessness at this point. Again, this is because at a deeper level, you are beginning to understand that there is no resolution in duality. Your conscious mind may just not know how to process this revelation. Thus, you could just end up feeling depressed or hopeless. And I also was thinking that we could be experiencing excessive stress and exhaustion if our bodies and our conscious minds are continuing to think that our role is to solve all of these problems, and the problems on this planet are so massive at this point that it's like expending so much energy but feeling like you're not getting where you need to be fast enough. All of this could also lead to other very uncomfortable and unexplainable physical sensations that result from this dramatically out of balance state. Now, here's the good news. Even though everything I just listed sounds and feels negative, it is all a sign that you are standing at the threshold of a potential quantum leap in your evolution as a being. Archangel Michael says that such a leap does not necessarily occur suddenly. Usually it's more of a process, although you do want it to be a faster process wherever possible. He said that the simplest way to deal with all of this is as follows. Realize that there are two things going on. One is the amplified ascension light that your true self is in total harmony with. And the second is your body's ingrained finite resistance to that light. He said that when he refers to the body, he is including the finite conscious mind and its accompanying emotional state, all of which comprise the false identity or belief that we are finite physical beings. What we want to do is to bring our body, our mind, and our emotions along with us as we evolve back into our natural state of functioning as creators. He said that much of this involves surrender and letting go. He said when you understand the deeper reasons for why the body is stressed, then you will find it much easier to work with it and support it in loving ways. He said the irony is that your body will begin to thrive when it stops resisting. That's because what it's ultimately resisting is the manifestation of the real immortal you. The you that is an extension of this powerful and beautiful ascension light. And finally, he said to remember that your body is a part of nature. It needs to be supported in alignment with this planet and with the nature of our solar system, which is focused on the sun. He said to pay attention to the cycles of day and night and to the natural cycles of the seasons. All of this revolves around our relationship to the sun, which is our central star. He said to do whatever you can to bring your body back into a synchronous alignment with our planetary movement and these natural forces. He said that this will make a huge positive difference in our physical experience overall. And I couldn't help but think how much better and relieving a focus this is than staring at a screen or a phone all day and making that your focus in life. So this was a simple message, but it was really uplifting. It was just so transcendent of all this junk. And, the funny thing is, I felt so much clarity after having this conversation with Archangel Michael. I felt so much clarity about why it's helpful for us to be very clear about, the controllers and the AI and all the stuff going on and have absolute clarity about that from a transcendent place. Because that way we don't get absorbed into it. And that way we can be the observers of it, but at the same time, we can put our focus on what we really need to be doing, which is to evolve and ascend and unify with that powerful ascension light. Because in a way, now here's the thing I also want to share with you guys, okay? When Archangel Michael or anyone in Telstar is communicating with me, there's so much coming across behind the words. The words are just sort of like arrows that point you in a certain direction. But there's a tremendous amount of knowledge, information, awareness. We just don't have the words for this being conveyed behind the words that are much bigger than the words. So hopefully you could get a sense of that as I was expressing all of this to you. But it was such a beautiful experience because I felt like I had the whole picture, the whole package of what's happening here, where we are, where we can be, and where we need to be. So, yeah, it was just really, really awesome. And I truly hope that I was able to convey some of that amazing and beautiful energy to all of you in this video. So I hope that you all enjoyed this message and that you also found it helpful, because I certainly found it really great. Archangel Michael is the most amazing friend to all of us on this planet, and we are so fortunate to have his ongoing and loving guidance. So I encourage you to share this video with anyone who you think would resonate with this profound message from this amazing and tremendously loving and supportive Archangel. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell because I am here every Tuesday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you loads of love, light, and high vibrational energy and many angel blessings. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.